Okay, welcome back to modeling the spaceship, and in this section we're going to tackle texturing. And the first part we're going to look at unwrapping the UVs, and in the second part we're going to actually apply the textures. So let's go ahead and unwrap the UVs. Let's change this back to solid so we can work with this. I'm going to go to Control up arrow full screen, and let me turn on my notations here so you guys can see the keystrokes in case you want to be able to see what I'm doing as far as the keys. Okay, a thing about texturing. I mean, when I first started learning about texturing, I mean, it's so frustrating for somebody who's doing modeling to tackle texturing, because it's kind of something that you have to wrap your head around and get the hang of. But once the light bulb goes off, it's not too bad, but it's still something that most 3D modelers just kind of detest and don't really look forward to. It can be enjoyable, but to me, not as much as the modeling process itself. So anyway, what we want to do is unwrap this. And when you unwrap something, if you're not kind of familiar with texturing too much, think of it like this. I heard it put this way one time, and it kind of makes sense. When you unwrap something, say you want to texture something, your model needs to be able to be on a flat 2D surface in order to place your texture on it. Now, if we take the body of the ship, and we try to smush it onto a flat surface, then you're actually taking a sphere or a spherical object, and you're trying to just put it down there. It's not going to work because you're not going to see all sides of the sphere. So what you think about it is just picture it as a piece of paper or cloth, and you're putting it down on a flat surface. How can you do that? Well, you're going to have to cut the cloth and then kind of spread it out over the flat surface, just so you can make everything flat. And that's all you're doing when you're creating your UV maps. You want it all to be flat. So how do you do that? We're going to make some seams in here to cut this object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into vertex mode, use numpad 3 to go into side view, and I'm going to use the B box select and just come along here and try to select this entire line here. Actually, I need to turn occlude off and select it again. Okay, let me see what I have. Okay, so I have some extra areas here selected that I don't want. It's really kind of hard to see what I don't want and what I do, but I'm going to shift deselect these points here because I think that's the area that I don't want. Okay, kind of look at the rest of it here. Okay, I think that is just the line that I need. So I'm going to hit my T, Tools menu, and come over here and just do a mark seam. And that's marked the cut away area that we're going to need. Okay. And when you do this, you're kind of thinking about what kind of textures you're going to place on this model and where they're going to be at. What I'm going to do is I want some kind of like, I think I want to put like a color stripe along the sort of below the middle here, along the length of the ship. I'm thinking about putting, I don't know, a number or something up here. So you kind of you have to think about what kind of textures you're going to put on there and how you want to cut it up to be able to work with it. But as you do it, you'll get used to it. And now I'm going to unwrap the engine, so select that. Now, since this is mirrored, you can actually create your UV map And once you unwrap that and apply your texture, it will automatically apply it to your mirrored section, so you don't have to do both sections. Okay, kind of the same thing here. I'm just going to try to actually grab this line here. And let me see if that's going to be enough. Go into one view so I can see what I'm doing. And just select the rest of these here. That's actually probably too much, not sure. And sometimes when you create this and you unwrap it, you see the problems that you have, and you have to go and make it, put your scene in the correct places. But what I'm trying to do with this engine is I'm trying to cut just this one area, just so it'll unwrap flatly, just like that. So I'm going to mark that seam, go back to our views here, get rid of these menus, and I'm going to go into the UV image editor and select the body of the ship, go into edit mode, select your entire body of the ship, and actually, now that I'm looking at it selected, I should have cut the nacelles here, or nacelle extenders, or whatever you want to call them. Anyway, when you unwrap it, you hit U and choose unwrap. Okay, so we can kind of see what we have here. Not too bad. We have the bottom of the craft, we have the top of the craft, and the problem with this is if I tried to put, I want to put like a stripe along the middle of the ship here. And if I try to do that right now, I'm going to have to try to go around the curve of the ship and try to get that line straight, which isn't going to work out too well. So what you can do is, if I use my numpad, go into the side view, and let me just select the bottom. I'm selecting the bottom part of this. See what I got selected here. Actually, let me go into face mode. It's easier, or works better when you're doing this. Okay. All right. And I'm going to hit U and project from view. Okay, so that gives you that kind of side view. And what's going to happen is, once I draw my line, my stripe across here is going to be, it'll be straight, which is what I want. And since these include the other side, it'll go all the way around the ship. Now you can break them up, and project them from different views if you need to. The reason for doing that is if you would have different textures on one side and different textures on the other side. And same thing for the top. If I select top here, this is what the top looks like right now. And I think I'm going to keep the top this way because I'm not going to put any stripe that way. I might put a stripe across the top. I doubt it. But what I want to do, what I was talking about with this one, is I want maybe some lettering or something up at the top here. And if I select the whole thing, this is what we're seeing. So it's going to be, it's going to be kind of in this area here. Select, it's kind of hard to select with include off. So somewhere in this area I might put some lettering. And in fact, to make that a little bit easier, also, I can do kind of the same thing. just select top of the ship with the occlude off. So you get the whole top of the ship. Okay, and I'm going to go into top view and just do a U, project from view. And I'm just using the G key to move this out of the way. And if I A select the entire ship, this is what I have. I'm not sure quite what this is. Let me see. Let me turn on the sync here so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, that's just that rim that goes around there. That's fine. I think what I'm going to do though, shift select that and just scale it down a little bit just to get it kind of out of the way. Same thing with this. This is the pieces of those. Okay. B select this. And just going to scale. Really, I can scale both of these up a little bit, get a little bit more detail. Take these, scale them down. And the reason I'm trying to get these scaled as much as possible is just when you do your texture imaging, you're going to have more detail if your textures are covering more of the image, if that makes any sense. Okay, so I think I can get away with this UV map. I'm going to put something on the top. Like I said, in that area up here. So I kind of know where that's going to be. And I'm going to put some stripes here. And kind of just whatever comes to mind there when I get to that point. So in order to save this, just go to UVs and export your UV layout. And what I usually do is just make another folder, call it UV, and you want to select all UVs. And for what we're doing for the textures, I mean, you can leave it at 1024. I'm going to bump it up to 2048 by 2048 because I'm thinking about putting some more detailed textures on later on for this ship. And then you just export your UV layout. Okay, so that has the UV layout. Now you want to go to your engine. Okay, with the engine, the way I unwrapped them before, I didn't quite like how that worked out. So I kind of redo that. Go into edit mode, top view, go into your vertex mode, make sure occlude is turned off. And just going to B select right along all of these lines here, all of these lines here, or vertices, and I want to just select this vertice and mark scene. So if we look at it now, we have kind of, what I want to do is get this round section so that I can put some stripes on it, basically. So we only want one cut across the top so that'll it'll peel it apart, lay it flat. So do a select all, go to your UVs, or I'm sorry, go choose U and unwrap. So now if we go back to face mode, you can see that this section here is a nice flat surface. Or if you select it, you can see that it's the surface all the way around this. Turn off the C tool, I can turn this. Okay. So that way I can put my, I can just put a nice straight stripe across there. And once you have your UVs the way you want them, go to UVs, export UV layout, go to UV directory. I also noticed that I didn't name my main body UV last time, which is not good, but at least I have it there. And I'm going to name this one UV_engine. And again, I'm going to use the 2048 by 2048. It's fairly high resolution for what I'm doing. Yep. 2048. And make sure all UVs are selected and export the UV layout. Okay, so in the next section, I'm going to actually do the texturing sheets for this ship.